Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all safe and fine wherever you are. Happy to meet you through this webinar. The topic is 3 pillars of observability. So the topics that I'll be covering during this session are about the evolution of application architecture, how it has changed from when it started 30 years ago to how it is today, and what is observability and monitoring, how do I define it, what is DevOps and what is observability to do with it, DevOps, and what are the pillars that we call it as for observability and how to achieve them. What is the evolution of application architecture? So if we see in the past few years, where we had how the client server architecture has evolved. So what used to be a typical client server architecture within your premise some 25 years ago, there used to be a server component and there used to be a client component. Both of them are within your office, within your premise, you connect to them. That was how it was some 25 years ago. Then with Web 2.0, with the internet picking up, it used to be like the server is behind and you connect your client using the internet. That's how the client server architecture changed. You can connect from anywhere in the world using the internet. Then it moved on to become your server component started moving to the cloud. AWS cloud or Azure cloud or GCP. There are many cloud providers. So you no longer have to worry about how do I procure my backend system. You just make use of the systems that are available and build your applications on it, and the clients can be connected. But with public cloud, not everybody moved to the public cloud. People had to have their resources in-house as well. So the hybrid cloud servers remained. Some part of it is on-premise, while some part of it is on the cloud. So with this evolution happening from what it was for both client and server within your own office to a hybrid system, what I should say is what used to be a monolithic architecture. Monolithic architecture, what do I mean by that is you have your business logic, your data access layer or your UI layer. Even though they are components, they are all in single system. So that is how it used to be. The applications are evolving from this structure to a microservice architecture. Today, if you see, more and more enterprises are also moving towards microservice architecture, where you have each of these components. Your business logic can be a separate microservice. Your data access layer can be a separate microservice. And even within the business logic, the multiple sub-modules can be a separate microservice. In this microservice architecture, each service you can spawn, you can deploy independently. It's not a whole system that is being done. It may look simple, but the complexity remains in monitoring them. How do we monitor when the system spawns and it goes away immediately? When other container comes up, how do you collect metrics from that? So monitoring such an architecture, microservice architecture, is becoming complex, and that's what the solutions that I have is what I'm going to present here. So let me tell you what I mean by observability and monitoring. So observability and monitoring, there are many definitions. People say they are one and the same, and some of them say no, they are different. There are different definitions available in the industry. But how I see them as, observability is the base. What I mean by it's a base mean, if your systems are observable, that is when you can monitor them. So remember this quote, if you are observable, you can be monitored. So the system must be able to give all the metrics that you want to monitor. So that's what I call by observability. And on top of observability is monitoring. So when your system is observable, you can monitor them. And monitoring is not sufficient. Monitoring is collecting the metrics. So when these two things are talked about, when observability and monitoring are talked about, one other important thing that we have to remember is analysis. It's not important for you to just collect all the metrics that are needed for monitoring and have it simply. You have to analyze. We have to analyze to see where the problem, where it is taking more time. Why is it taking more time? How can I optimize it to give better performance? So all those analysis needs to be done. So this is what I call, this stack is very important. If your system is observable, you can monitor it, and with the help of monitoring tools, and the tool must be capable of giving analysis on top of the metrics that you have collected. So that's what I mean by observability and monitoring. So the next one is about DevOps. We hear this often, the DevOps, and why observability or monitoring is important for DevOps. It's not, we also hear of this SRE, the site reliability engineers, right? So DevOps and SRE, there are again various different definitions for them, but how I see them is DevOps and SRE are two sides of the same coin. If DevOps is about what to do, what is the process, about quicker releases, about continuous feedback loop, about fail fast. So if it is about the process, what to do, SRE is about how to do them. How can I achieve them? So they cannot be seen as separate things. They are one and the same. And DevOps person or an SRE person is not a superhuman. So they have to make use of monitoring tool so that they will be able to monitor their system and make sure that they are able to give better performance. So what are the challenges? DevOps has a lot of challenges, and some important challenges in this complex application, because even in a normal application, there are challenges. In this complex application, I'm just going to talk about some 3 important challenges that they have. And how do they address them? They have to make use of monitoring tools. What do I mean by ripple effect? By ripple effect, this is the distributed architecture. If you see, there are different components or the different containers, each one of them built in their own language itself in a different platform. And when there is a failure in one component, it is going to have a cascading effect and cause the entire system to fail. But if it is a single system, it's easy for you to locate where the problem is. In this distributed architecture, it's not easy for you to locate the problem. So you're going to have problems in identifying the root cause or pinpoint the module that's having problem. So in such cascading effect in a complex architecture, APM tools comes in handy. Similarly, for scalability, what works for one user may not or need not work for n number of users. So when your application scale, when you're moving your business from a small SMBs to an enterprise, what are the differences? How do you handle load? So you need to have tools that has the AI capabilities to give you predictive analysis of how we are going to have the load, or what load you can expect, what are the resources you need. So all those scalability problems can be addressed with the help of monitoring tools. Version dependencies is another important problem in the microservice architecture. What I mean by version dependency is each of the microservice that I talked about is deployed independently, which means each of them will be in a different version by themselves. So how are you going to handle it? One version could be deprecated version. The other microservice version will be an upgraded version. So you need to keep track of all the versions, and you need to keep track of how it is performing, when you have to move to the latest version, and all those are possible with the help of monitoring tools. So in addition to the normal day-to-day challenges of any DevOps in a monolith architecture, when they move to a microservice architecture, they have these other additional complexities for which APM tools comes in handy. So it can be any tool. Site 24/7 is one such tool. Depending on what your business is, depending on who your customers are, you have to choose a tool that can help you. But when you choose a tool, what are the things that you have to look for is what I'm going to address. So what do we mean by pillars of observability? There are 3 pillars for observability. The first one is metrics. You need to, as I said, when your system is observable, you need to collect metrics. The metrics will vary depending on what component you're monitoring. If it is a website, the metrics are about what is the response time or how fast it is loading. What is the request count? Those will be the metrics. If it is a server component, it will be CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk utilization. So all these are metrics that you need to monitor. So that's the first pillar for observability, what you need to monitor. The second one is trace. You need to find the exact line of code where it is having problem, because that's when you will be able to fine tune it and enhance the performance of the application. And in the distributed system, the distributed tracing is very important. The third important pillar is logs. Log has been our main source of debugging from the age-old days when we started doing coding. We want to do some debugging, we go write the log debug statement, compile it, run it, and see what is the debug sprint that has come. So logging is very important. And in a distributed architecture like these today, what is there? How do you take care of logging? So how do you go and see what is being logged in the multiple different applications that are running in a distributed environment? So all these three need to be there in one product that you choose. That is when you will be able to see that. Then the tool should also have all the analysis so that you will be able to make some quick actions and improve your performance. So let's get into details of each one of this, and how you will be able to achieve observability. And for this demonstration, I will be showing screenshots from Site 24/7 as to how we monitor or how we achieve this observability component. First is about metrics. About metrics, as I said earlier, metrics is more about collecting all the important parameters that you want to monitor. So if you say there are two major important parameters that you have to worry about. One is uptime metrics. First is uptime metrics. What do you mean by uptime? All your resources, be it your websites or your applications or your server or your network component, your router, switch, all these components have to be up and running because they are all in the cloud now. It is very important for all these components to be up and running, and the tool must be able to give you uptime metrics, and when something goes wrong, you must be alerted. So availability is an important metric to be monitored. The next one is performance. There is no point in having all your resources up and running if they are going to be performing very, very slow. You agree with me, right? Because this fast internet world, we don't have the time or patience to sit and see pages that are going to take forever to load. We just move on to the next page. How do you make sure your application, your website, your infrastructure components are all performing very good? How do you make sure they are fast enough? So that has to be taken care with the help of tools. And that's what I meant by metrics. Both availability and performance are important. So this is a screenshot from our website monitoring page. If you are a customer who's already using the product, I'm sure you must have seen this. So the important metrics that we collect here are the response time. You can see we collect the request throughput. We also have the availability as a percentage. And in the response time, the split up. What is the DNS time? What is the connection time? What is the first byte time? What's the download time? So where exactly it is taking more time? So all these are metrics with respect to your website. And we also collect this from not just one location, 100 different locations across the globe. Because your business is in the international market, you need to know how it is performing from across the globe. So we give you that option. You can poll from whichever location you want. You can select the location and you can see how the performance is from all those locations. So this is how it will look. So from the different locations that we have, so how is the performance? So from each of the locations, what is the total time it has taken and what is the split up of that response time, where it is taking more time. In one case, it will be a DNS time that is longer. Or in the other case, it could be a connection time that is longer. So it all depends on region, and you need to know the split up. These are all the metrics that we talk about. You need to know all these metrics for you to make sure that you correct them, and then you can give better performance. As I said earlier, there are more metrics. I just talked about the website part alone. If you are taking your server components, your CPU utilization, memory utilization, packets sent, so all these becomes metrics. The metrics definition itself or what we collect itself vary depending on what you're monitoring. So this is about metrics that I have. So far what we saw is about metrics. So the next section is on traces. So traces, by traces I meant you need to know the line of code that is having an issue so that it's easy for you to fix them. So traces, for traces, what we have in Site 24/7 is application performance monitoring, and the application performance monitoring, the APM Insight is supported in Java, .NET, Ruby on Rails, PHP, Node.js applications. Whichever is your application platform that you have, we can pinpoint to the line of code that is having issue. And as I said earlier, with respect to APM, the metrics will vary. So the different metrics that we have will be what is the response time and how is it broken by components. What portion of it is spent in HTTP call, what portion of it is spent in a Redis or Memcache call. You will know all these details. And what is the Abdex score? What is the request throughput, data throughput? What is the total request count? What is the error percentage? What is the exception count? How many of the exceptions are fatal and how many are warning? All these are metrics. As I said earlier, the metrics is defined by what you want to monitor. Based on that, it will vary. Now, moving on to the trace part of it. So we have this trace details. Once you have this auto instrumentation and you start monitoring your applications, this is how the trace will look. So we will be able to tell you how many method calls were there. You can even point up to, see, if you see here in this, it is almost a million method call in one particular transaction. And of the total time, where exactly it is taking more time. It will tell you if it is a query, the particular query where it is taking more time. So this trace, the waterfall type of the stack trace, which will help you to pinpoint to where the problem is what is very important. This is important for a normal monolithic application itself for you to debug. So what you need to know in case of a distributed tracing, distributed architecture, what you need to do is distributed tracing. As we saw earlier, each microservice or each container can be built in different language, and they are all interconnected. Each of them can be deployed separately. So in such case, when a problem occurs, when a DB component fails, there are 3 different intermediate layers before it gets to the actual UI portion, and each of them being built on a different language. You need to know the exact trace, because if you are monitoring only one component, you will not be able to say exactly where the problem is. And that's where distributed tracing is important in this distributed architecture, and the tool also provides that. So this is how it will be. There will be a separate section for distributed tracing, and you will be able to see what are the different transactions that are available in those distributed. What is the transaction in the other microservice, and what is the application name for that as well. And if we go to the particular trace, that's the starting point. This is the web transaction, and this is taking more time. And if you go and debug in that particular trace page, in the summary page, there will be this section called as distributed tracing, which will tell you what is the other application that it is connecting, which is nothing but the other microservice that it is connecting, and what is the transaction in that microservice that is taking more problem. If you don't have these details, it's very difficult for you to find out which microservice has failed and what is the root cause of the problem. So distributed tracing in the microservice architecture is very important, and the tool that you use for monitoring has to have the distributed tracing feature, which Site 24/7 has. Moving on to the last section, which is logs. As we said earlier, logs are very important. But in the distributed architecture, it's impossible for a person to go and look into the logs in each of the deployment centers where it is deployed. So you need one place where you can see all the logs in one place, in one console, in easy queryable language. And that is what will help you to make some decisions based on what is being printed in the logs. So this is how I see the consolidating logs across the various servers that we have. It can be any platform that the logs are being collected from. But after you collect the logs, we do some processing, some real-time processing on the logs that are collected, and then store them in a way it is easy to query and see. So to put it in one word or one sentence, converting your unstructured data into a structured one is what we mean by log management. And the logs, we do support out of the box for many common applications like MySQL or Apache or MongoDB. Can be anything. Any common applications are all default supported. And if you have a custom application, it's easy to support that as well. You just have to give the log pattern that you have and the log type. We will be able to discover them, collect all the log information from the distributed system wherever they are deployed in, and then store it in one place and give you an easy access query language type of console, which any person can easily do. I'll just show you some ways of how we do that. So this is the query language type of screen that we have. You just, when you type in the query log type equal to, it will start autofilling or it will start showing recommendations. So it's not hard for any person to learn the language and all, because it will automatically fill the different keywords that are needed and you can see the report. And we do have different types of report depending on what the keywords that we are using. If you are using log type syslog, it can be any log. And if you're having a report, if you want to see a report for time slice for 2 hours, we give this bar chart. For each of the query type, the graph will vary because based on what the user needs, we do present it. So if the log or if the, the query is or get me all the IIS access logs that has a method get or method post or method put. This is a nice chart by seeing which you can see majority of them is get request and there is some amount of post. So this is the report that you get for an or query. If there is a group by query, syslog, log type is syslog, group by application, you just need to know which is the application that is taking most of the values. This is the chart it will be. So based on the query type, we do show the reports. If it is an aggregate value, there is no need to show any flashy pie chart or something. Just a simple line graph will do. Max, min, sum, average. What is the values when it was up and when it went down, the total values, simple line graph. And sometimes you may not even need to show any graph. If my query is on finding out the distinct values, you just tell me by Windows event logs, what is the distinct by source. So you just have to list the 10 unique sources and what is the total count. So that's how it is. These are just some samples that I'm showing. There is many more different types available in the product. So that is about logs. You can also save the searches and there is a view to see the recent searches, and which makes it even more easy for any person to again see the same things and see how it is or read through the logs easily and make decisions out of it. So in a nutshell, if I have to say, what do I mean by observability is having your metrics. The metrics vary depending on what resources that you're monitoring, having the traces to pinpoint to the line of code that is having issue. And in a distributed architecture, you need to have the distributed tracing feature as well, and the logs, able to read the logs from the distributed environment and see it in one place. All these three features put together in one console. It's not that you have different products for each of these things. It's important for you to have all this in one console so that you can make some quick decisions or solve the issues that you have and improve the performance of your system. And that intersection is what is called as observability. So choose the tool that gives all these three in equal proportion so that you will be able to monitor your system and make decisions out of it. So that is about the three pillars that I wanted to talk. So before we wind up, just 2 minutes on what Site 24/7 otherwise has in store. Site 24/7 is an all-in-one monitoring platform that lets you take care of all your monitoring needs from one single console. And we do have 10 different data centers across the globe. In each location, we have a primary data center and a DR setup as well. So we have one in US, one in Europe, one in India, one in China, and one in Australia. So you can be assured that your data resides within your country's region. Because of all the security regulations, we have come up with these different data centers as well. Being a cloud provider, we do take security, compliance, privacy very seriously. And we do have all these certifications. We are ISO 27001, 27017, 27018 certified. We are also SOC 2 certified and GDPR compliant. Every year, the system goes through a strict audit mechanism where everything is audited and reviewed. So security is given utmost importance because it is a cloud provider. So the key takeaway from this sessions, if I have to say, I hope you understood what is observability. So when your systems are observable, you can monitor them and you can have analysis on top of it. The three important pillars are metrics, traces, and logs. And you need to make use of monitoring tools to collect all these information and do some analysis on top of it. Site 24/7 is one such tool that can help you in achieving this observability so that you can improve your performance and deliver better user experience. Thank you for your time, for being along with me for the past 30 minutes. Thank you for your time.